Endurance Productions here. I'm going to do a movie review series here on the films of one of my favorite directors, John Carpenter. I think I'm going to start the series with Assault on Precinct 13. Probably not one of the most well-known films of John Carpenter, but it's definitely one of his first best film efforts. He made it in 1976 and shot it on location in Los Angeles, California. What can I say about this movie, folks? This movie established John Carpenter as a very, very good director. It's almost like it got his name out there on the market. Before he made Halloween and The Thing and The Fog and Escape from New York, all the other good movies that'll come later in the series. Assault on Precinct 13 is basically a reworking of an old Howard Hawks movie called Rio Bravo. If you notice in a lot of John Carpenter's films, he likes to work in a lot of Western type themes into his movies. They may not be all-out Westerns, but he takes a lot of the same elements: a good guy, a protagonist, and an antagonist, a bad guy in the movie. Some are gunslingers, but they're not in the Western type setting. But basically, in Assault on Precinct 13, it's not a standard John Carpenter thriller or horror movie. It's basically an action movie about a unified youth gangs that converge on a precinct that is closing and decide to assault or siege this precinct to make an example out of it because of some gang members that got killed by a policeman and recently in the time frame. The things I like most about Assault on Precinct 13 is, even though it has some age on the film, it has very, very good prosthetic special effects for a lower budget movie, and it's executed very well by John Carpenter in this film. You'll notice a lot of the people that act in this film are some of the other actors that he uses in later films of the late 70s and early 80s. Some of them show up in the movie Halloween, The Fog, and other movies of the like. John Carpenter, in his early years especially, kept a close-knit group of producing behind-the-scenes type folks and actors, and just kind of a family type atmosphere to his movies, and you'll see a lot of the same faces pop up in its early films. Basically, as the story goes on, Assault on Precinct 13 has the ragtag survivor group of both cops and hardened criminals that are in Precinct 13 coming together as one to fend off the gangs that are doing repetitive attacks on there, trying to lay siege to the lone precinct that's out there on its own. All the communications have been cut off and they're on their own trying to defend themselves. Sad to report that I only own a bare bones version of the DVD here with a basic mono track, but it is in widescreen and it's presented very well. It's got a crisp picture to it. After some research, I found on the internet that there are some I'm not sure if Anchor Bay is involved, but there are some other versions of this DVD that pack more of a punch. They have a lot more behind the scenes, director's commentary, things of that nature. So if you're in the market to buy Assault on Precinct 13, you may want to do a little internet search and try to invest in that copy instead of the one that I own. I didn't personally get to see this movie at the theaters when it came out. I was way too young at the time, but I did get to see it on the home video market whenever it hit the mainstream in the early to mid 80s. And I gotta say, it's one of the first movies that I ever remember as a kid watching that one of the main uses of silencers on guns. The youth gangs in this movie obtain their armament from I guess it's a local National Guard heist or something. There's a lot of M16 rifles and just a lot of weapons that go missing and they get their hands on, but they're all silenced. And that's one of the things that doesn't key the other authorities in on all the action going on while they're laying siege to the assault, or doing the assault on Precinct 13. So if you'd like to see some early work by John Carpenter and see what he did prior to Halloween, except none other than Assault on Precinct 13, go to your local video store, go rent it. I'm sure it's probably on the old racks in the back somewhere. Give it a watch, draw your own conclusion, and I hope you have fun with it. I always do. I get it out every once in a while just when I want to see some hardcore action from the 70s era, where they didn't have too many MPAA ratings problems back then. They just kind of put it on screen and people watched it. If I had to give a rating to Assault on Precinct 13, although I don't in my opinion think it's John Carpenter's best work, if on a rating scale of 1 to 5 stars, I would probably give it a good standard 3 out of 5 stars, mainly meaning that you need to see it if you like action movies, or even if you just like John Carpenter movies and never seen it. Not saying you need to go right out and buy the DVD, but probably go and rent it, give it a watch, see if you like it. Look out for one of the things I love most about the film, and this makes a lot of people crack up because they're going to say, why don't you like the action the best, or something like that. One of the things I always remember about Assault on Precinct 13, and I don't watch it that often, but whenever I do get it out and watch it, one of the things that always comes back to my memory, it's a fond memory, is the music score for this movie. It's one of the first music scores that John Carpenter ever put in one of his movies, and he is famous for always probably scoring just about every movie he's ever made. Not all, but just about every one of them. This one has a simplistic little synthesizer score to it, and I don't want to ruin it or anything, but it's got a cool little funky vibe to it whenever you watch it. It kind of gets you in the mood of the atmosphere that's going on around the main characters. So there again, just a handy little review of Assault on Precinct 13, non-horror movie for John Carpenter, not really even a thriller, just a standard action movie. Give it a watch, see what you think. Take care, folks, and I'll be back with you with some more John Carpenter movie reviews. Take care.